Hello, I'm Debbie Dobbs, and I'm here tonight to present to you my project, which was the development of a wound-ostomy program at East Tennessee Children's Hospital. At the end of this presentation, this learner should be able to verbalize the purpose of the project, discuss the roles and responsibilities of the team members, verbalize the goals and tactics of the project, and summarize the timeline and implementation of goals and tactics of the project. East Tennessee Children's Hospital is a 152-bed freestanding pediatric hospital in Knoxville, Tennessee. We have 60 level 3 NICU beds, 13 PICU beds, and 79 med-surg beds. At the end, or close to the end of 2016, we were very close to meeting or exceeding our all-time high of pressure injuries at Children's Hospital, and it was sent to us that we needed to work on this. This project works under the strategic plan, under the Leader in Safety, Quality, and Value, under Continue and Expand Destination Zero initiatives. For us, that is having zero patient harm under hospital-acquired conditions, of which pressure injury is one. Pressure injury is an area of tissue destruction that comes as the result of soft tissue that's compressed against a bony prominence and external surface, and it can compromise circulation with resultant skin breakdown. It results in pain, disfigurement, infection, altered body image, and increased cost. It's much more common in intensive care units, and it is no longer just a geriatric and nursing home concern, as pediatric inpatient facilities have a prevalence ranging from 1.6 to 27.7%. The CNO gave me this directive. She wanted to decrease the incidence of hospital-acquired injuries and to develop a process for discharge patients with wounds and ostomies to get their needed supplies that are reimbursable and that are affordable to patients and families. As of 2008, CMS no longer reimburses for an additional cost as a result of a hospital-acquired condition. Even though it is not currently reinforced in the pediatric world, whatever follows in the adults usually comes along behind us. When you read about what nurses do, they'll say, yes, some of them do indeed assess for pressure injuries, but there's a lot of inconsistency between what they recognize as useful and what they actually do, and that there's a substantial number who do not practice what they believe. The goal was to maintain the incidence of pressure injuries to not exceed 25, which was the 2015 data. The stretch goal was a 40% reduction, target was 20% reduction, and threshold was a 10% reduction. We had the following tactics. We wanted to implement skin and device rounds weekly because we found that the vast majority of our pressure injuries were due to devices such as CPAP, protective devices such as collars and vests, and other types of things that is really related to device. We were going to review chart audits for gaps in documentation, and then we really want to develop some kind of curriculum for teaching or training program for our unit skin champions. We wanted to identify improved products and equipment and under that as well assess the accuracy and use of the understanding of the Braden Q assessment tool, which is a pediatric assessment tool. We wanted to look at different products and tools and equipment and see if there was a best way that we could do that, and then to identify, evaluate, and implement process changes to reduce the injury. And we would do that through active surveillance with the weekly skin rounds on all inpatient units. Another goal was to identify, develop, and implement a process for care coordination for these patients, woundostomy patients. There was not really a standardized approach for it. It was just the wound nurse would make recommendations. She would write them up. She would put them on the chart. The physician would sign them. They'd then be faxed to home health, and we hoped that everything happened that was there. There was not a consistent alignment of products that were available both in the hospital and at home health, and that was another goal we wanted to work on. The project team was made up of the WoundOstomy nurse, all of the nurse managers. Each inpatient unit has an assistant nurse manager for quality and safety. We included the nursing director for critical care because, again, the vast majority of our pressure injuries were occurring in the critical care units. The QM manager, we had representatives there from both PT and RT, and then what we laugh and call the PIP committee, which is actually the pressure injury prevention. It was made up, this is a long-standing committee that was made up of the wound nurse, QM representatives, and frontline staff. And it had been in existence for a while, but it just was not producing anything, and attendance was down, and we needed to do something to revitalize that. So we included management to escalate the importance and make people more aware of what's going on. About the time we did this, we got an administrative directive that we had to limit meetings because of financial constraints. So we had to get really creative about how we were going to do this. So we did some virtual meetings. We did email voting, we did presentations via email. We did do monthly meetings and continue to do those, but they're limited to 1 hour. And we use those to review progress, answer questions, and then we have started with a review of all the pressure injuries with lessons learned. We met with the WoundOstomy supplies we worked. It was primarily myself, the director of rehab and home health, and then the wound nurse. And we did that on days that he was already there so that we didn't have to worry about him having to make an extra trip off campus. This is our timeline, projective timeline. We took the 4 primary objectives or tactics that we had and looked at a way that we could reasonably implement these, and this is what we came up with. We did a lot of education. In each year at Children's, we have what quarterly education that is done for both new products, new processes, as well as competencies. They're performed quarterly. In June of 2016, we did a lot of education at a station about when do you consult the wound nurse, what is a pressure injury, and then in March of this year we did some unit-based specific scenarios with prevention and what people needed to do. We're looking at June of 2017 at putting a station in on appropriate use of the Braden Q. The wound nurse, who used to be a NICU nurse, did a really nice case study, CBL, or computer-based learning project for the NICU, used a patient that they were all aware of, talked about what they could do. It was very well received. It was done by 135 NICU staff, and there was about a 98 to 99% approval rate from them, saying that they really was going to change their practice. We also submitted a budget proposal for Wound Care Associate, which is a online program for teaching on how to care for wounds. It's put out by the WoundOstomy Continence Nurse Association, and it's just very, very good. We do skin rounds, and we implemented those on March the 17th, and those are basically the wound nurse goes through and the A&M for quality and safety and the assigned RN round on these patients. A&M does a list for them of the patients who are at risk for skin pressure injuries, and then they go through and they do a head-to-toe assessment. They look at all the documentation that's been done on that particular patient, and then they look at to see what kind of prevention interventions have been implemented. The wound nurse then puts this into a database that she will present at Quality Management and CPIC, which stands for Continuous Process Improvement Council. This is a copy of our rounding tool, and this was developed by the team. We looked at the kinds of information that we wanted to do and what would give us the most bang for our buck. It is paper, and they just take this paper in there and look at it and document on it, circle it. We tried to make it very user friendly, and then again, the wound nurse puts it into a database that we can look at to see what trends. Some of the things that we looked at, reviewed and trialed a new film, and we're implementing that this week, April the 24th, from Aleve to Mepilex. We found some really good products that actually is going to save the hospital some money of about $1,300 annually. We're about midway through a process of mattress and bed replacement plans in which that all adult beds or bigger beds will have a pressure redistribution mattress. And by next year, we should be pretty much 100% there. Respiratory is still researching and looking at equipment to look at alternating mask and nasal prongs for CPAP delivery. And then again, that's kind of we're at have some financial constraints in trying to use with not spending extra money right now. WoundOstomy, we worked together. We were able to develop a CPOE order set that the wound nurse can just put in and use. If she feels like the family needs to have a couple of skilled visits once the patient's gone home, she can put that recommendation in. It took away a lot of the paperwork. That's ready to go as soon as we finish with putting in some ICD-10 codes for reimbursement. We worked together to align inventory to make sure that they were the same as in both home health and children's. And we looked at cost, reimbursement, and affordability for families in the event that they are not covered by insurance. This is our completion date. We've implemented skin rounds. We've done about 75% of the products and equipment, and we've developed the follow-up for the home ostomy patients. In summary, we've increased education to frontline clinical staff. We've initiated skin rounds. We are implementing some product changes. We're continuing to review alternatives for equipment for rotation of mask and prongs for CPAP. We've developed and completed the process for wound ostomy and aligned the inventory. We didn't meet the 2016 goal. However, at this point, we've had no pressure injuries since the beginning of 2017. So we're making some progress, but we need to really stay vigilant, not forget it, because we've had 3 or 4 months with no pressure injuries, and just stay on track to finish what we need to do. The questions that I've selected to ask everyone is, what would be your suggestion to maintain the gain of 0 pressure injuries for this year and continue throughout the year? And do you know what the PI rate is in your institution? What do you know about what's being done? We even found that we had issues in the ED because we had a couple of pressure injuries from the ED that came through from IV hubs. So no unit, including the ED, is safe from pressure injuries. These are references that I've used. This has been a good project. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of work. We're not completely finished, but we're on our way. Thank you.